All right, so let me I wish I would have thought of this on Friday, before the No Kings, but we're not done with these kinds of stupid things. So before anybody, raises a sign, before you chant a stupid slogan, before you pledge allegiance to a movement or a political party, I want you to stop. And I want you to ask yourself one simple question. Why am I here? We live in a time where outrage is easy and thinking is really hard. We live at a time when it feels good to belong and very dangerous to question. We live in a time where emotion is mistaken for morality. And that is exactly how free people become unfree. Okay? Not because tyranny kicks down the door one night, but because we hand it the keys in the name of change when we're not thinking. So before you do anything, before you march, before you protest, before you make a sign, before you argue with somebody, pause and think to yourself, why am I drawn to this? When you're watching things on X, why am I drawn to this? Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it guilt? Or is it principle? When I want to stand up for something, I don't want to do it in anger. I don't want to do it in fear. I don't want to do it in guilt. I want to do it in principle. And having a principle means you have a deeply held belief that this cause reflects truth and justice. Now be careful. Be really careful. Because you may have been convinced that you're right because of what you're against. But what is right and what you're against are not the same thing. For instance, right now with conservatives, I guess it's becoming more and more popular to be against Israel. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to agree with Israel. I don't ask you to agree with Israel. I don't want to fight their fights. I don't agree with their policies on everything. They're not the United States of America. They're their own country. So I disagree with them just like I disagree with Britain sometimes. Okay, I don't really care. But being against Israel does not mean the same as being for Hamas. You've joined something different. That means you have allowed your passions and your feelings to rule over you. That's why everybody wants to make something, that's why our Declaration of Independence and our country has lasted 250 years. It's the only revolutionary document that has ever lasted. And only one in world history that ended with the same people who started the revolution. The only one. Why? Because it didn't start with anger. It started with principles. We hold these things to be true, self-evident. We don't want to be against something. Being against Trump. You can be against Trump, but that doesn't mean you're for Antifa. Being for justice doesn't mean you're anti-ICE unless your passions have overcome your logic. So the first thing you have to do, why am I here? And if I strip away the crowd, if I strip away the pressure, the chance, the popularity, would I be standing here? If no one ever knew that I joined, if there were no such thing as likes, no cameras, no praise, in fact, if everyone I knew and admired were against this, would I still believe it and do it? If the answer is no to that, then you're not following conviction. You're following a crowd. You have to be convicted that even if I stand alone, I'm willing to do it. So what does this movement stand for? Am I willing to stand all by myself? Do you even know? How many interviews did you hear this weekend where people are like, I don't know. And they always say the same thing. I don't want to talk to you. Why? Because they can't answer the question. They don't have any idea what this is about other than a bumper sticker or the press release. Do you know what the real agenda is? What is the goal? Who is behind it? What methods are they willing to use to get there?
Do the ends justify the means? Now, this is really important because people are starting to believe, yeah, I can kill people. That's honestly, Virginia, you may not look at it this way, but this is the way I look at the Virginia election. Virginians, have you decided the ends justify the means? That it doesn't matter if somebody says I can kill their children to change their political point of view. The ends justify the means. Okay. If the ends justify the means, you have to ask yourself this question. What principles or freedoms have to be or are okay to sacrifice for that end? Because once you start sacrificing those things, like saying it's okay to kill children for political purposes, you become Hamas in the end. History has a real warning for us. Every single authoritarian movement, left or right, doesn't matter. All of them promised liberation. Every single one. They promised equity, justice, safety, and they delivered control, science, and fear. If the message of a movement, if the methods of the movement betray its message, if it has to censor or coerce, if liberties have to be violated, then it's not liberation. It's manipulation. If they have to manipulate people and cut corners, coerce or censor or betray liberties to get there, they will not stop doing it. Next question you have to ask, does this movement make people more free or more dependent? Freedom is not just the absence of chains. Okay? This was the big thing. This was the big thing that Booker T. Washington was all about. You can be free, but not know how to be free unless you're educated, unless you're willing to stand on your own. Here's a slave that pulled himself out, defied all of the odds, became one of the greatest black Americans in American history. And he was talking about be more independent, not dependent. That's what freedom is. It's not the absence of chains. It is the presence of responsibility. So if you think that freedom means I don't have responsibility, I don't have to do anything, you will be under the chains of somebody else, because that means somebody else has to do those things, has to feed you. And so they will require you to do things because they're feeding you. Ask, does this movement actually promote policies that trust individuals to make decisions for themselves, or do the people leading this believe they know better than everyone else? Will it hand people more power to bureaucrats and experts and elites? Does it always defend free speech, especially for those who disagree? Or does it silence them in the name of progress? Does it expand choice, or does it force compliance? The only choice you could say is the one that the right says, and I believe, is not a choice: to kill another human being. I don't believe that's a choice if you're a doctor and you want to give somebody medication to end their life. I don't believe it's a choice for you. You can kill yourself if you want, but I'm not going to help you do it. And I don't think it's a choice to kill a baby. It's not. It's not a choice. That's the only choice that they always point to. My body, my choice. Well, but if it's your body, how come you're forcing everyone to take a vaccine that not everybody wants? That has to be consistent. If it's not consistent, then you are living a lie. You are picking and choosing the choices you want. You don't actually believe in choice. If it makes people less capable of living without the state, it's not freedom. It's dependency dressed up as compassion. If I want others to be free, what does that require of me?
We love talking about freedom in this country. We love it, as if it's something that politicians can hand out. Vote for me and more freedom. What? It's not. Freedom is not sustained by our laws. Freedom is sustained by our character. This is what this means. It means you have to defend the right of people that you despise, not just those you like and agree with. You must stand for the rights of people you despise. You must stand for the rights of people to say horrible things that you despise. Otherwise, you don't actually believe in freedom and freedom of speech. See, freedom requires you to do the hard work, and the hard work that nobody is doing, understanding issues deeply, reading the original sources, not the headlines, not the clippings, not the tweets. Anybody who gets their news off of Twitter and Facebook, you are less educated and less informed than the people who read nothing at all. You have to do the hard work. And you have to do the hard work of mastering yourself, your impulse, your ignorance, your anger, so you don't become the thing you're fighting against. Has anybody noticed that when you're watching these crowds, the biggest thing is hypocrisy? You're like, are you kidding me? You're saying these things? Do you not know that you are the thing you're fighting against? And freedom requires courage to stand alone. It requires virtue. It requires humility. And it requires the truth. But how do I know what's true? So this is the hardest part of all, I think, and that is, how do I find what is true? How do I know what is true? Truth doesn't come prepackaged as a slogan. Truth is not usually found in a trending hashtag. Truth requires years and years and years of work. Most importantly, it requires humility. If you're searching for truth, you must be willing to change your belief or your behavior when you find it. If not, you're not actually searching for truth. Okay? Ask yourself, am I willing to challenge my own belief? Am I willing to end up at a place where I don't believe any of that stuff? I thought I believed that, but I don't. And it's shocking to me, but I don't. If you're not willing to go there, then you're not seeking truth. Are you seeking voices you disagree with? Or just people that are echoing what you believe? Who benefits if I believe this? Who benefits? Who profits? Who gains power? Truth has nothing to fear from questions. All kinds of questions. No, you don't ever have to fear. Truth doesn't care. Okay? Lies have a lot to fear. So here's a test you should run before you commit to picking up or making any sign. This is something you should commit to before you go to Thanksgiving. If your side achieved everything they wanted, every law, every reform, every revolution, would ordinary people become more self-governing and more responsible and more free, or more managed, more dependent, and more controlled? If the answer is the latter, do not join them. No matter how righteous they may sound, do not join them. No matter how noble their intentions, do not join them. Because tyranny wrapped in good intentions is still tyranny. We're standing on a knife's edge as a nation. I mean, have you seen the price of gold today? What is it, Stu?
Over $4,300, yeah.
$4,300. $4,300. Does that mean anything to you? If it doesn't, you should check it out. It does. It does. It's going to mean something to you in the end. It means the rest of the world is saying, I'm not sure about this whole system that it's going to last. That should change everything that you think.
It should change the way you say, okay, well, I used to like this program, but I'm not sure we can afford this program anymore. I used to vote for this person, but that person will not stop the spending. I want my kids to be able to have freedom. I may not like everything about America, but I think America is the best system out there. I don't want it, what is it, Singapore or something, or one of the really, I think it was Afghanistan. Saw some numbers this weekend. Afghanistan has arrested like 2,000 people for, speech problems in the last year. 2,000 people have gone to jail for something they posted or something they said. 12,000 people have gone to jail in Great Britain this year for the same thing. 12,000 people have gone to jail for free speech. One of them is a kid who said, "I love bacon." We're on this knife's edge, and the difference between liberty and bondage is going to come down to whether ordinary people start asking better questions. Before you march, before you say anything, are you thinking? Before you join, have you learned? Have you spent the time to ask these questions? Before you speak, do you understand what you're actually saying? Before you follow, make sure you're walking towards freedom, not away with it, and check the people you're following. Is this a group of people that 25 years ago you would have been comfortable with? And I mean that saying, I don't think any of us were fine walking with communists. I don't think we were fine walking with anarchists. None of us were. So they're not walking towards freedom, they're walking away from freedom. Why are you walking with them? History is really clear. Nations don't lose their liberty all at once. They lose it one unasked question at a time.